So we're going to find some volumes using those volume formulas we've talked about. Remembering that the volume of any polygon or prism is the area of the base times the height of your prism. So for our first example here, we have a pentagon, right? This is a pentagonal prism because it has a pentagon base. And for our pentagon, we know the side length. We know that the side length is 4. So we're going to use a very special formula where we're finding the area of a pentagon if we know the side length. And it goes like this. 5 is the number of sides times the side squared divided by 4 times the tangent of the trig angle, which is 36 degrees for a pentagon. Okay, there are lots of other videos that I have that will explain how do you find the area of a regular polygon, right? This is your 36-degree angle. And we're going to take that is the area of your base, and we're going to multiply it by a height of 9. Okay, so no variables here. Everything gets thrown into your calculator. Hopefully you know how to use control divide in order to make a fraction so that your calculator looks exactly like your paper does. The area of our pentagon comes out to be 5276. And then when we multiply that by 9, we get a total volume of 247.749 is what my calculator says. And units for volume, since we're multiplying an area times a height, they are cubic units. So 247 and change cubic centimeters is the volume of our pentagonal prism with a side length of 4 and a height of 9. So let's slide over and look at problem B. This is a cylinder, and a cylinder has a circular base. So volume is pi radius squared. That's the area of your circle, right? That's the base, times the height of your cylinder. So this says we have a radius of 6, so pi 6 squared, and a height of 16. So the height is, of course, the distance between your bases. The distance between your two circles is 16. Now there are two different types of problems or answers that I want you to be familiar with. So if your directions say in terms of pi, then you should not be putting pi into your calculator when you're doing this multiplication. We should just be doing 6 squared times 16. And when we do 6 squared times 16, we get 576. And then you multiply it by pi. So this is multiplication, right? There's not a plus sign or a minus sign or a divided by sign. So you need to know that no sign means multiplication. And our units are cubic, so cubic inches. So this is a perfect answer, 576 pi cubic inches, okay? So this is in terms of pi, which means your answer needs to have the pi symbol in your answer. Do not put pi into the calculator because it will decimalize it. Now if your problem said approximate or estimate or round to 3 decimals, then you are more than happy to put this into your calculator to get 557 cubic inches as your answer. Okay, so when you're reading the problem, are you being asked to write it in terms of pi? Because if your problem says in terms of pi, then your answer should have the pi symbol in it and not be a crazy decimal. Okay, so that's just make sure you're reading to see what they want you to do. Okay, question C. So this is a trapezoid, right? We have a trapezoid base. So we're going to be using a trapezoid area formula. So if you haven't not memorized, the trapezoid area is 1/2 of the sum of your bases. Okay, so base 1 is 9. In base 2, we don't have a number by, but that's the same as the one here on the back. So base 2 is 4, and our trapezoid has a height of 3. So all of this is going to give us the area of your base, right, which is a trapezoid. And we multiply that by the height or the distance in between your two bases, which in this case is 5. Okay, so we'll put this all into our calculator, and we get an answer of 97.5 cubic millimeters, or millimeters cubed, if you want to say it like that. Okay, so when we're doing a volume question and we're trying to find the volume of a three-dimensional figure, we do the area of the base. So whatever the base happens to be, that polygon or that circle, there's always a formula to find the area of your base, and you multiply it by the height or the distance in between your bases. Okay, so one last example on this one, and that is an algebra question. It says the volume of a cylinder with a radius of 10 is 1884 and change. So we're going to take our area and set it equal to your formula. So anytime we're having an algebra problem, we want to find some characteristic, in this case the height of your cylinder. You're going to take your area and set it equal to the formula. So the formula for a cylinder is pi times radius squared, which the radius is 10, times the height. So we're trying to figure out what the height is. We could call that x if you wanted to, but because it's trying to find the height, I'm just going to leave it as h, because then I know I've found the height. So this is an algebra problem, but let's simplify first. 10 squared is 100. So 100 pi times h, right? 100 times pi equals 1884 and change. So if you're not confident in putting this into your calculator, then let's do it as a double division. So we're first going to divide by 100. Okay, let's divide by 100. And that gives us 18.849 blah, 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 right? All the decimals from up here. I'm just not writing them on my piece of paper, but I do have them in my calculator because that's where it really matters. Equals pi times h. So now we're going to divide both sides by pi. Okay. It would have been fine to divide by both of them at once as long as you put it in parentheses, right? So if you're going to divide by a product, and 100 pi is in fact a product, then you should be putting this into parentheses. And when we divide 18 by pi, we get a height of 6 inches. Okay, so be careful if we have pi in your formula, because you're probably going to be dividing twice. Okay, divide once by the number and then divide again by pi. And you should come up with the right answer every time. Okay, so once again, volume is area of the base, which will change. So all of your pictures have a different base, and there's a formula to find that area, times the height of your prism or cylinder, and that's how you find the volume. Have a great day.